Alright guys, welcome back. In this tutorial, in order not to waste so much of your time, I will just dive into what we came here to do. In this tutorial, I'll teach you guys how to create a website from scratch to finish. This website in particular. So this is just a very beautiful land page to serve as our portfolio while we are learning a CSS. So if you look at this website now, you'll see that it has so many special effects. We could change the color mode to dark color, and you can see that this Marvin San, moving in and out, fading in and out. Sorry. So you can see we have our download resume, get free quotes. We have the project we have done. If you click on them, you can see that's it shows all the projects we have done so far. So if you scroll down, this also indicates, I think the third section indicates our experiences and educational background. We doesn't really matter. We just put anything there. And the fourth, which is the last section, is the contact section that indicates the map, our contact information, as well as those who is interested to communicate with us. So this is just a mini form that has name, email, and the message they want to send to us. Oh, okay. So after explaining that, we just dive into. Not to forget, this is just a random Google Bootstrap template I found today, and I decided to use it as my portfolio for this tutorial. So I want to keep it simple and neat, and this is just what I want. So thank you guys for joining this lecture, and in the next tutorial we'll be learning how to go about building this website from scratch. Well, let's just jump right into the tutorial without any further ado. In order for you to create a website, there are three things you need: your desktop or a laptop, your text editor, and as well as the local host. So those are the three things you need to set up a working environment while creating a website. And the local host, that's the third one. I'm sure everybody will be like, you want local host. It's basically our laptop can serve as our local host for this project. Or if you're using the desktop, it can serve as a local host for this project. And inside of that server, we want our root directory to be the desktop. What I mean by root directory is the place where we save our files and we can easily locate it. So we'll just create a new folder inside of our desktop. You can see mine, I'm using my desktop as my root directory. So anything I'm doing will come from this desktop. So we will just create a new folder by right clicking on your mouse and hit new folder. Name it whatever you want to name it. For this tutorial, I will name my portfolio and hit enter. So you've automatically created a new folder in your local server. So our next to do is to go to our text editor or our code editor. Is the same thing. So there are several types of editors in the digital market today, such as Sublime Text, Atom, Brackets, VS Code, etc. I mean, there are so many others. You could also start your journey in creating your own text editor as well. So today I am using VS Code, and there are several ways to import your folder into your virtual machine, studio machine. What you should do, the first way I'm going to show you is the simplest one. So you will just go to your code editor, create a new window or open a new window, wait for it to do its magic, and it's here we go. So what you need to do is to click on create a new file to start to create a new file. Maybe if this file doesn't have a folder, and save it into the place where you could recall. In most cases I use desktop, so I know that it's been saved in my desktop. So the second is to open an already created folder or projects. So by just hitting the open button, the open link, it's going to open and navigate to our system. Excuse me. So while we wait for it, what it basically does is, I think my VS Code needs to restart. What it basically does is to, yes. So what we need to do is to navigate to where our root directory, which is called desktop. Note, desktop is not other word for root directory. It's just to make this class easier for you to understand. So inside of our root directory desktop, we will just hit open, and boom, it's going to do its magic. So what you should do next, if you don't want to use that way, is to use VS Code itself. I don't know about any other code editor, but I do know that VS Code has a very sweet plugin whereby you could just easily drag and drop your folder from its directory to straight to the VS Code. Wow, it's going to do its magic. The last but not the least I'm going to show you guys today is using CLI, which obviously stands for command line interface. So to use a CLI, we have to open our terminal anywhere. To find your terminal, if you're using Mac, just hold command and hit enter and start your search immediately. Search terminal. You're going to bring out the terminal, and you should continue from there, or you go to your launchpad and look for terminal. So here is to see, you go to order, and here you find your terminal. So for same thing applies to the Windows users. You just search, I think the window there's a bar, use the search bar here and look for terminal and search for terminal. Alright, let's just jump right in. So for you to use the CLI, first we need to know where we are by typing ls. It's going to let us know we are in the particular directory where we are. So let's hold on a minute. So this will tell us that we are in desktop, user desktop, and inside of the user desktop, these are all the files we have inside. So if you compare them with the ones I have here, drum machine, Presidio, timestamp, and all of them, you will notice that they are all similar. So that's it. So for today, we are going to our portfolio. So we are already in our desktop. For you to go to your portfolio, you just use a simple command line called cd, which means change my directory to portfolio, since it's saved inside of the desktop. Portfolio, since it's saved inside of the desktop. Yeah, change my directory to portfolio since it's inside this desktop, and hit enter. So automatically we are already in our portfolio. To prove that, we have to just do list items. You can see that we are in our portfolio and there is an empty file inside there. So when we double click here, you see it's an empty file as well. So we cancel. Alright, in order for us to open this folder instead of our VS Code, we just have to type in a single line of code called code space and period. We all know it as full stop as well. Either you call it period, or you know it as full stop. They're all the same thing. What you should do is write code space and period, then hit enter. Wait for it to do its magic, and that's all we need to do. And you can see that automatically open our VS Code, and one, not just open our VS Code, also take us inside of this folder. That means it opened this folder inside of the VS Code. Yes, so that's it. So that's it. That's how to open our folder. The 3 ways you can get started with your website. So the next we need to do is to create a default file inside of that folder. So and this default file is usually called index.html. So long as it ends with the specific given extension, we are good to go, which is .html. That's the extension we need now, because we are working on HTML and CSS websites only. So if you are building other websites like PHP, using PHP, if you're using other language like JavaScript, you are using other language as Python, you know that the extension will be different. It will be the particular language you're using at the moment. So in order for us, like a programmer, let's just keep using the CLI for the while. We open the integrated terminal for VS Code by just right-clicking inside of this folder and click open in integrated terminal. So that's it. So okay, wait. So we see that it's the same thing, just like our default terminal, the user's iMac, portfolio, and the user itself. So it's the same thing. So what we have to do now is to create the index. So to create an index using CLI, use the simple command line called touch, followed by the given value, which is index.html. Hit enter. So as you can see now, it automatically creates the index.html for us because of this simple line of code called touch. So our next is to create our style sheet, which is the CSS. So because we will not just have a boring HTML website, right? We also need to style it so it's going to be as beautiful as the other websites. So like I showed you guys. So to do that, let's open the new file with the usual way by right clicking and hit new file and save it as style dot, in this case CSS. You hit enter. You can see they practically do the same thing. It's just the one you are good at. You can follow up along in this lecture. All right, so let's begin. Let's write anything to make sure that we are in the right track. Okay. This is my first portfolio website. Okay, my first portfolio whatsoever you want to use. Full stop. Command S for Mac and Control S for Windows. Yeah. Excuse me. So to get this working contents that we have been struggling is to open the file, right? So we can easily do this in 2 ways. By going back to our folder where we saved this contents, and we saved ours in portfolio. We double click, open. Yes, you can see that the new files we created. So, and double click on this index.html. It's going to take us to our new website, HTML website. Yeah, wow, that's it. You can see it's in our desktop. Inside of the desktop portfolio, inside the portfolio, we open this index.html. So the second way we could do this is still through our VS Code, because VS Code doesn't want us to live anywhere. So we have to go back to our integrated terminal. We just clear this so you could see properly. And we are still in the portfolio, right? And we do what right passing this simple line of code called open, followed by the file you want to open, index, which is index.html. You hit enter. So you wait for it to do its magic. Yeah, you can see it's basically did the same thing. Portfolio index, desktop portfolio index. You can see it's still loading, so before it loads finish, continue our lecture. You can see desktop portfolio index, desktop portfolio index. Yeah. So that's it for today. We are being able to create our folder, import it to our VS Code, and as well start our project and open it through different ways. So one more thing I'm going to do before we end this tutorial is to start our styling, because that's what we basically came here to learn, as well as creating our website. So we will just do body and change our background color to be gray. May not be noticeable, but we'll change the color to be white. No, let's use this. And we save. So we go back and we refresh. Oops. Well, if you go back and refresh, you will see that okay, that didn't work because we haven't linked our CSS to our folder. So in order to do that, it's a very simple thing, like how I taught you guys, is to link your CSS. To do that more professionally, link CSS. And it has a self-closing tag. So we pass star. All right, we save and refresh now. You can see, refresh. You can see that the background color is different, and if you zoom a bit, you can see that this is also different. So I like using ash color so to make it. Let's make this. All right. So these are for those using VS Code. You can see how flexible it is, right? You can easily pick color from just directly from the VS Code itself by applying to the color. That's it. That's one good reason why I use VS Code. We go back, refresh. Wow, you can see that's it. So we have successfully learned how to the different ways we could open, create, and set up our working environment. So that's it for today. Thank you guys for joining this lecture. I'll see you guys shortly.